Morning, guys. So it's 11 o'clock here on the East Coast. Probably like 6 o'clock in the evening in Israel. I want to kind of take a survey with you guys, of you guys. You know, it's the year 2024, 5784. I want you guys to ask yourself this question. How many people do you know, either personally or know of, acquainted with, who do things for other people, you know, without any agenda? They just want to help whoever they encounter, and they don't have any agenda, and they want to do it completely, you know, they don't want anything in return. Just total hesed. That's what they want to do. I met maybe a handful of these types of people in my entire life. Like a handful, especially these days where everybody's got some kind of agenda, everybody wants something. Even the best of us wants, something here and there. My friend Elyakeem, who left us today, he went home to God. He was one such person. You know, it's funny, like, I'm flying to Israel, God willing, in 2 weeks, and I just want to say that in true Elyakeem fashion, he couldn't wait for me. You know, he was always on the move, and he couldn't wait for me. This is one of those times where he couldn't wait for me also. He couldn't wait. You know, he would always tell me, you're going to join us, we're going to be there, you know, be there or be square. And we're on the move, you know. It's very difficult for me to describe people. The only way I can describe them is by telling a story about personal stories that I've, encounters that I've had with people, so you get an idea who they are. I'll tell you like a few stories, like 3 stories, short ones. I won't bore you too much. You know, during COVID, I was in Israel. I was living in Israel, and Elyakeem was also there, obviously. And so at some point, this gentleman decided to make a WhatsApp group for singles who didn't take the you-know-what. And so we would have meetups. Every Sunday we would have meetups in Jerusalem. Usually it was at this one place, and then there was one time or a couple times we had meetups in the old city, right in the Rova. So my friend Elyakeem showed up. And he showed up, and I knew that he was single. I guess he was trying to meet somebody. And okay. And I was like, oh, that's interesting. He also didn't take the you-know-what. So I thought. A few weeks later, the Hagim roll around, Rosh Hashanah. He calls me up. Elyakeem calls me up. He's like, hey man, there's going to be a minyan in the old city. And, but he told me, he's like, just try not to say anything, because I know you're very vocal about the stuff, the COVID stuff. Try not to say anything. He's like, listen, some of the people, because a lot of the minyanim, you guys have to understand, a lot of the minyanim, there was a lot of people being ostracized, a lot of people who didn't take the you-know-what being excluded from a lot of the minyanim. Or they had an outdoor minyanim, whatever it was. And I'm like, is there a requirement for you-know-what for this minyan? He's like, no. But he's like, just don't say anything, because some people took, some people didn't take, just don't say anything. So basically, in a time when the government was dividing people, in a time when, not just the Israeli government, all governments, in a time where people were dividing each other, and I'm not talking about religious versus secular, I'm talking about within the religious world, people were dividing each other. Elyakeem wanted everybody to be together. He wanted everybody to be together. That's who he was. And then I found out. I'm like, oh, you also? He's like, yeah. I'm like, so why'd you come to the non you know what meetup group dating? He's like, I wanted to meet somebody. So I thought maybe I'd meet somebody there. So I'm thinking to myself, he's telling me this, and I'm like, this guy. Now that I think back on it, I'm like, this guy was basically visiting the lepers. Because at that time, a lot of people were afraid to be around people who didn't take the you-know-what. A lot of people who took it were afraid to be around people. I was, encountering many people like this. I had roommates like this. And, we were pariahs. We were lepers. And he was just like, I don't care. Whatever. You took it, you didn't. I don't care. Whatever it was. Just don't, he's like, I'm inviting you to the minyan. Just don't say anything. And, don't make this and that and the other about it. And that was that. The third story is a little bit more personal. Elyakeem used to invite me to a very special minyan in the old city, another minyan. It's the shul of Rabbi Brandwine, who I understand to be, a mikubal, a very special person. So, one time, or maybe 2 times maximum, I mentioned offhand to Elyakeem that my grandfather, my father's father, was born in a place called Berdichev. So now Berdichev, some of you guys might probably know, is home to the great Rabbi Levi Yitzchak of Berdichev. But as far as I know, I don't have any connection to that rabbi. My grandfather's from Berdichev. That's it. That's all I can say for myself, right? So I'm at the first minyan. The first time I met this minyan, Rabbi Brandwine, Shabbat, and we have the minyan, and everybody just wishes everybody a Shabbat Shalom. Everybody goes to their meals, and Elyakeem stays behind, but because I was supposed to go with Elyakeem to a meal, but so I didn't know where we were going, so Elyakeem told me, give me a few minutes. I'm going to talk to the rabbi for a little bit. Then he brings me over to the rabbi, and he immediately starts introducing me to the rabbi, who himself, it comes from the lineage of this Rabbi Levi Yitzchak. He introduces me to the rabbi as a Berdichever. Oh, you see, he's a Berdichever. This is a Berdichever. Talking about me. And I'm just like, dude, I'm not a Berdichever. I was born in Lvov. My grandfather was born in Berdichev. That's all I could say for myself. He's like, no. He's like, you're... And he keeps like pumping me up to this, to Brandwine. I'm just like, dude, what do you... Guys, you have to understand something. In all my interactions with Elyakeem, this is what he would do. He would find either your strongest points. He would identify your talents. He would identify your points, your talents, your skills, anything you did well, anything you were involved in that is positive, even if it's like, in my case, this close to going down the tubes, God forbid. Anything positive about you. He made it a point not to see any of your negative aspects. And he just found anything positive about you. And he was like, okay, I'm gonna, elevate it if it's here, or if you think it's here, because we all have this whacked out self-perception of ourselves. He said to himself, I'm gonna take whatever this person has that's here, and I'm gonna elevate it to here. And if I can, I'm gonna go even over here. As high as you can go. That's what he would do. Again, whether it's your talent, whether it's your I don't know, some lineage that you could have, maybe you have, maybe you don't have. He tried to squeeze the lemon as much as possible, but in a good way. He wasn't, he didn't do negative reinforcement. He didn't do any of this kind of stuff. He was just looking for the points and trying to accentuate, spotlight those points in people. I'm assuming he did this with other people because he was doing it with me, and I know he had no agenda. He wasn't doing it because I was, wasn't his only friend. Even though it felt like, when you're with him, it feels like he's your best friend. That's who he was. That's who he was. In this day and age, you don't even get that anymore. People like that, again, besides the tzaddikim, besides some of these rabbis that we know, regular people, so to speak, that, civilians, laymen that we run into on the street, you don't get a lot of that. You really don't get a lot of that. It's, even the people who are like good at like elevating others and accentuating, usually they have an agenda. It'll be like some motivational speaker, some guy you're paying, some coach, some this. This was not, Elyakeem was not a coach. He wasn't here to coach you. He wasn't here to be your business consultant. He was just here to find the things, to see, to identify the things that you are good at, your talents and skills, your the things that you came here to do, and to accentuate and elevate that in the view of other people, so that other people could see it, and that they could recognize you for, the essence of who you are, what you're capable of. Even you don't even know that you're capable of it sometimes, or you forget. And honestly, I don't know where he got this from. I don't know where, maybe people are born this way. I don't know. Maybe he was taught this. I don't know. But it's something that he possessed. It's something that he clearly came to this world to do for people. A lot of people are asking me today, oh, how old was he? Was he married? Was he single? A friend actually asked, did he lived alone? And I said to her, I'm like, he was single, but he wasn't alone. He was single. He didn't have a wife. He didn't have kids, but he was not alone. Meaning he always was doing something for people. He was always around people. He was never alone. The last time I spoke to him, he messages me. He saw my video that I made, an offhand video about how I'm trying to start my business with, some kind of business coaching. And he said, hey, Tzvi, there's a lady in Ramat Bet Shemesh, something with shaitels, and do you want to talk to her? Do you want to help her? I said, well, 15 minutes is free, but after that, he's like, no, you don't understand. It's a Hesed organization. They help people in Israel, as a Hesed, help people with business. I said, okay. So I connected him to somebody I know who deals in that same industry. That was a month ago. It's the last time I spoke to him. It's funny, like, the way that he said it, he assumed, and I don't blame him for assuming this, he assumed that I knew that these people, want help as a Hesed. Meaning he didn't like say, oh, how dare you ask for, potentially ask for money. He didn't say that to me. He was just like, oh yeah, dude, I should clarify to you, it's a Hesed. And I was like, oh, it's Eretz Israel, it's wartime, people need help, obviously, without question, I automatically understood. But this is the kind of person he was, so he assumed that other people would understand that it's like, dude, we're just doing this for free, just to help somebody with their business. Folks, I'm telling you, trust me when I tell you, you probably know, I don't have to tell you, some of you, these people don't exist. They don't exist. And when they come around, you see it, it's so pronounced because there's no one like them around, and you start to wonder, like, why is this person doing this? Why, this person just met me, why is he trying to help me? Why is he trying to accentuate this aspect of me that I either forgot that I have, or that I don't even, use so much, or that I know I have, but I haven't figured out how to, monetize it, capitalize. I mean, this is the best way possible. And this person is like out to just help you actualize whatever you need to actualize, or whatever he identifies that you clearly, he sees that you're trying to actualize it. He will bend over backwards to help you in any way, even if it's also in a way that seems like he's throwing stuff at a wall and seeing what sticks. In his case, I don't know why, folks. I don't know. Some of you know me. Like, I get very upset when people try to do it like that. When people try to help you, when they try to throw something at a wall and see what sticks. I don't know why, but when Elyakeem did that, or did it that way, I never got upset at him, because I was just like, well, this guy is just, for whatever reason, he still is identifying the thing. There's a reason he came to me with X, Y, and Z, idea or thing. Because again, he saw that I might be able to help, or I might be able to be involved some way, somehow. Folks, and this happens so many times. And again, I was just talking to my friend Frank, and I said to him, this guy during COVID brought people together. When everybody was bringing people apart, when everybody else was, splitting people apart, he brought people together. And he did it in a way that was like very, just subtle, on the sly, on the cover, undercover, and without fanfare in that respect. And I told Frank this, and he goes, Frank goes to me, I heard somewhere that Hashem apparently likes that, that kind of stuff. I'm like, really? You don't say? When everybody else is splitting people apart, to make unity between Jews. Apparently Hashem likes that kind of stuff. Folks, Baruch Hashem, unfortunately, it took a horrible attack. The Jewish people are united, for the most part, in Israel, and actually around the world. But I just want to say, I hope Elyakeem is davening for all of us, and davening for us to continue to have unity, and just for us to be safe and succeed in this current situation that we're in, and really for just Mashiach to come already, because we've just had about enough of all of this. And I'd like to think that I know that Jews are commanded to believe in the resurrection of the dead. I sometimes wonder how many people actually believe in that, like, truly, wholeheartedly. And I want that to happen very soon, because I want to see Elyakeem again. I want to see other people that I lost again. And I'm sure you guys watching this, some of you feel the same way. And that's basically all I have to say about that. May Elyakeem, I'm not sure what his, I think it's Ben Avraham, may his neshama have an aliyah. May he daven for us in Shemayim, and yeah, that's all I'll say for now. Alright guys, talk soon.